We're going to talk about COVID and the effects it had on education. So firstly, what is education? Education is the act of teaching knowledge and the act of receiving knowledge. How did COVID affect education? It forced students to learn online on Zoom and on Google Classroom. COVID has impacted schools from all across the world by making their classes go online and limiting most learning. Labs, in-person projects, and more were not possible due to new COVID restrictions. It made people scared to go outside, so why would they go to school? Even when people started wearing masks, lots of people started getting sick. Most colleges closed completely, and students missed a lot of time for learning. Some students who were graduating would have online graduations like the class of 2020. When schools opened up, people were forced to wear masks, and if they got sick, the whole class would have to quarantine. Being completely online wasn't a good thing either. First, you had to get out of bed and then stare at your computer screen for hours upon hours. There wasn't any in-person learning that the students could actually engage in other than stare at a screen for months.
A rapid response to COVID, and we've invested, quite a bit of resources to accelerate therapeutics and to accelerate vaccine development. And in the U.S., it's very much in education focused on addressing some of the immediate needs like the digital divide and helping systems grapple with and engage in providing technical assistance as they've worked to get their students connected to the devices so that they even had a chance to learn, but also looking at curriculum, math, getting the curriculum and the providers who develop those things to get them digitally enabled and to expand those things, tutoring, those types of things have been our immediate term priorities. But again, the systemic issues in our public education system will continue to be our focus. And we're seeing opportunities just to continue, but also to make some shifts which were in the.
Students prepare to return to classrooms, it is now more clear than ever that the lockdowns of the past 2 years have dealt a devastating blow to the education of our nation's children. Isolation and a lack of hands-on learning was detrimental, with students falling behind grade level in both reading and math. In fact, new research shows that students have only recovered between 15 and 35% of the learning that was lost during school shutdowns. Students are not learning the math, the science, the history, and the English that they'll need to be successful. And over the long term, the consequence of this learning loss could be catastrophic for our young people.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I'm going to be asking you 3 questions.
Of course.
And you can answer any of them however you like. First question, how did COVID affect your education?
COVID hasn't really affected my education much, but it did give me the opportunity to learn in the comfort of my own home. I still got good grades and focused on what I did, but sometimes I would drift off and do things I wouldn't be able to do in actual school. COVID just turned my learning virtually, so it really didn't have much of an impact.
I understand. Next question is, how was online education for you?
Alhamdulillah.
Online education was fun in my opinion. It was comforting and less stressful. I did miss writing on paper and getting used to submitting work online was a bit difficult, but in the end it all worked out perfectly.
Alhamdulillah. Final question is, do you like online or in person more, and why?
A lot of people like working in person. However, I like learning online for some good and blunt reasons, such as how I get more sleep or how I get to stay in my pajamas. Also how it's less strict and more free.
Wow. Jazakallah khairan. Ma salama. I hope to see you next time.
Wa alaikum assalam.